just for a moment, forget about Parkland, Florida, the home, for now, of America's gun control debate. This is Baltimore, home to more gun killings last year per capita than any other big city in the country. On average, almost one per day. Balloon memorials mark where the dead fell, and there are lots of them. And so as Americans talk yet again of gun control, not least how to protect its young people, consider this school, Excel Academy.
I wanted you to read to yourself about disease control.
Where students who've struggled in other schools come seeking a second chance. A place that isn't in the headlines much and that didn't spark a march on Washington, even though it has its own sobering death count.
How many kids in this school have been shot and killed in the last year or so?
8 total.
8?
8, yep. We've lost 8 students to gun violence.
How do you feel about that?
I'm overwhelmed, sometimes just tired. You don't imagine as a principal this is part of your job, but it is.
To be clear, none of the 8 students were killed on school property. It was all out on the streets.
Let's go, ladies who waiting for me in my conference room. Everybody else, let's go.
But as they gather for class on a week, yet another student from this school had been shot and wounded. Fear mixes with resignation, frustration with resentment.
How many people here know somebody who's been shot? Raise your hand.
3 students who face not only that, but headlines these days that convince them no one's calling for tougher gun laws in their name.
But a black person gets shot, do they do anything about it? No. When somebody got shot here, did Parkland come say something to us? No. Did we have a march? No.
Baltimore doesn't get a voice all that big because the city is predominantly black. So since the city is predominantly black, they're not going to pay any attention to it.
It's like they just don't care about black people.
Yeah, I don't think they care about black people either.
They might say they do, but your actions speak louder than your words.
As we spoke, Michaela Gray's boyfriend was in hospital. It was he who'd been shot this week, just before school 2 days earlier. It barely made the news.
Now people is getting killed in daylight. Not just at night, like in daylight. It don't matter where you at. You don't have to be involved in anything, any gang violence, any drugs, and still get killed.
Do you hear gunshots?
Oh yeah, frequently. But that's a part of the culture that's been accepted.
For Munir Bahar, that's the problem, the culture of violence in Baltimore. He himself grew up in it, in and out of jail in his teens. He turned his life around. Now, he wants to change Baltimore and all of those who say it can't be done.
There's a funeral almost every damn day of a young black man in this city killed by the hands of another young black man. That's not normal. I just refuse to accept that as normal. I refuse to just live my life and like, oh, it's all right, brothers die, it's a part of life, oh, it happens, it's the hood. No, that's not real, and I refuse to accept it. Who would like to challenge themselves? Raise your hand, please. Come on up, Wayne. Come on up, little man.
His response, the gun problem is fixable from the bottom up.
1, 2.
Munir started a program aimed at helping kids steer clear of violence.
Yeah, my man got some strong legs.
In a city where so many gun deaths are within the black community.
I want to see a young, successful man.
He teaches discipline, focus, respect, with the view turning kids into better people will achieve far more than merely protesting for tougher gun laws.
Health, education, literacy, mental health, recreation. If we're not doing this, but we're just demanding that things change without the ingredients of the change, I think that's just an absence of logic. People have died so that you have an opportunity to show your brilliance. You know when you're doing wrong, but you also know when you're doing right. The vast majority of young black men dying by guns in America are not being killed. They're not dying by AR-15s. So ban AR-15s, cool. It changes nothing in terms of the problem of homicides in the black community.
As it stands, the shootings here effectively never stop. So, up the steps and into the home of yet another family stung by gun violence, community workers Walker Gladden and Clayton Guyton.
I want to start with how your week was.
Want me to start?
Don't matter.
On this night, it's to meet with Keandre Greenidge. He was shot last year, one day after school. Says Keandre, guns are simply a fact of his world. He's 14 years old.
That ain't gonna never end. You talking about gun violence?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing that's going to stay forever.
Is it that bad? Like that's normal?
Wrong with me.
Right now, the sense of urgency is so great. Immediate response is so great that I don't have time to really wait. We got to move now. You know, we dying. We got to move. You know, our young people are dying. Our community is deteriorating. You know, I like to see his face from time to time.
Walker's own son is among them, shot dead in 2016. That's him on the pendant. All those anti-gun demonstrations, they say, it's mostly people from a different America, pointing to the country's lingering racial divide on why the gun problems in mostly black Baltimore seem to get so little national attention.
Our change is still not here yet because it's so difficult. But see, we up for it. So no, we're not mad with them because, and we're not really upset with them because we know, hey, it's easy for you. You can't stand up for the problems in our community without somebody looking at you and saying, you're an angry black man. We're still going in the back door. That's where we're at.
So what is the way forward in a city with so many gun deaths week after week?
You can march all you want. You can march every day for hours asking for justice and for your voice to be heard. But if the people in the city not changing, then the violence isn't going to stop.
I pray that something will change, but then, like I said, maybe it won't.
A blunt assessment by those not yet ready to believe anyone outside the city's even listening. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Baltimore.
To put the anxiety those students feel into some more context, consider this. Last month, Baltimore went 11 full days without a homicide. Just the third such homicide-free stretch in the city in more than 15 years.